It's November 2021 and we're heading on another day trip. This time we have two destinations. The first stop of the day is to Muntapa train tunnel in Narco, southeast Queensland. Our journey starts at proper as we merge onto the Warrego Highway and make our way west, heading towards Toowoomba. Making our way up the Toowoomba Range, turning right at the top, we make our way along beautiful tree-lined streets. Just before the town centre we make a right, and then another right gets us onto the New England Highway and we're heading towards Crow's Nest. Since we're in the process of buying our own motorhome, we like to play spotter when we travel.
You got it, first one of the day.
And as you can tell, Megan gets right into it.
Oh my!
Weeds or not, the masses of yellow flowers along the roadsides makes for pretty scenery, that's for sure. About an hour and a quarter into it, and we find ourselves around 43 kilometres north of Toowoomba and passing through the small town of Crow's Nest. Declared a town in 1876, the place has loads of character with the many old buildings and shops. Definitely worth the stop and a sticky beak, but perhaps on another day, as I'd love to tour their famed soft drink factory. We continue north and head towards Kooyar. After an hour on the road, I finally get a run on the board. It doesn't matter where we go in southeast Queensland these days, we always seem to encounter roadworks. At a cost of $24.5 million, according to a sign, these buggers were long. But we persevere, and before too long we escape them and turn off onto Kooyar Road, heading westward, leaving the witches' hats and the traffic behind. It's still quite overcast, but the rain so far has held off, and it's not too hot in the car, although air conditioning helps. After a few kilometres, we turn onto gravel, and it's not too far to go until our first stop for the day.
You have reached your destination on the left.
And here we are. The Muntapa Tunnel is a former railway tunnel set in isolated bushland about 40 kilometres north of Oakey. The tunnel is located in a deep cutting along which the former railway line from Oakey to Kooyar ran. The park, although small, has sheltered picnic areas, which feature sturdy and clean barbecue tables, electric barbecues, and they even provide toilet facilities. We decided to tackle the northern end first. Along the path there are several signs that tell us about the remnants of the original site, such as the workers' camp and the site of the old camp school. The northern end of the tunnel is accessed via a set of steep stairs leading to the cutting, which extends roughly 40 metres from the tunnel entrance. It's partway down the stairs that we catch our first glimpse of the tunnel entrance set deep into the hillside. Although the cutting is 5 metres wide, on our visit it's lined heavily with lantana on both sides. And even though it's a weed, it still has quite a pretty little flower on it. The Muntapa Tunnel is a concrete railway tunnel located on the Kooyar railway line, a former branch line linking Oakey to Kooyar in the eastern Darling Downs. The tunnel is one of a small number built on a branch line, and it is the only tunnel in Queensland that crosses between the inland and coastal sides of the Great Dividing Range. It was opened in 1913. A section of cliff around each entrance is faced with a concrete wall, which is topped with a shallow projecting ledge. We make our way back up the stairs to the picnic area. There's 85 of them. And by the time I got to the top, my knees were feeling it, believe me. There are two paths from the picnic area to the stairs, so we took the other on our way back. Pausing at the side of the old bakehouse, the sign also tells of a woman who baked 44 loaves each day in her home. All that remains today are some of the stones from the chimney. Back at the picnic area, we stopped to read the information board that gives good detail into the construction and history of the tunnel, the line, and the local area. There is also the story of one of the train drivers, Ernie Hills, who worked on the line. For those unable or unwilling to make the walk to the tunnel itself, there is a short walk to a viewing platform for the southern entrance. It's wheelchair accessible and suitable for the elderly and small children. I reckon the council needs to do a little selective trimming, however, as the view is blocked by a small tree. Next, we take the walk to the southern tunnel entrance. With a shallower gradient, this is a much easier path compared to the steps at the other end. More lantana lines the path, and even in the middle of the day, the big Scotch grey mosquitoes were out in droves. The smell in the air is quite strong, even at some distance from the entrance, as this tunnel is home to a colony of bent-wing bats, and this is the reason that the tunnel is fenced off and we weren't able to walk all the way through. The cutting at the entrance to this end extends approximately 150 metres. The eastern side at this end is lined with a 20-odd metre concrete wall, and this was all handmade. The tunnel is semi-elliptical in cross-section. The floor is sandy, except towards the middle of the tunnel, where the base becomes coarse gravel. The interior of the tunnel is formed from concrete. Away from the entrance, this has become blackened. It's quite impressive when I stop and think that this was all made by hand too. Looking closely, you can just make out the bats flying near the roof of the tunnel. But now we're off to our second stop for the day, the Palms National Park. Leaving the park, we head south towards Paranga. Dodging the wildlife as we go. Once through Paranga, we rejoin the Oki-Kuya Road. One thing about a weekend drive in southeast Queensland, you're always bound to see lots of bikes on the road. Trucks too, for that matter. Soon enough though, we rejoin the New England Highway with all the roadworks and make our way north to Kuya. At 12.4 hectares, the Palms is a small national park located between Cooyar and Yarraman in Queensland. The main feature of the park is a spring-fed gully filled with piccabeen palms. With no facilities other than a couple of picnic tables and the car park, the Palms are still well signed and maintained, and quite an informative little walk to do. The main feature in the park is an easy graded walk of 650 metres. You can feel the temperature drop as soon as you walk under the dense canopy, an ideal place to visit during summer, I reckon. The park is home to a colony of grey-headed flying foxes. They are, aren't they?
And some have rings and some are more defined.
Encircling the Palms is subtropical rainforest and dry vine forest, leading to open eucalypt forest on drier exposed locations. Although an easy enough stroll, care still needs to be taken with exposed roots and the many stinging plants found along the way. Boardwalks have been put in place in some of the damper parts. Bunya and hoop pines can also be found within the rainforest. However, some big buggers hide in plain sight amongst the dense canopy foliage.
Fell over and went to sleep, didn't he?
Yes.
Is it a bit squishy here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's alright.
Yeah, quite long and sun.
A little bit of...
That big one.
He's a whopper too, isn't he? Ah.
With so many forest giants in such a small area, it's hard not to spend all our time looking up. But this giant fig surely takes a cake. It's massive. we still take time to appreciate the little things too. Making our way back home, we travel along the Diagonal Highway, which will then take us onto the Brisbane Valley Highway, and then finally home. We pass through Yarraman, from Yarraman we pass through the township of Blackbutt, and then continue on down the Blackhall Range. The Diagonal Highway then takes us through the small village of Moore. As we make our way through West, Megan calls the second motorhome of the day, which makes us a draw for the game. 5 minutes from home and the heavens opened on us, but all in all, what a great day. Can't complain about that, eh?